So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over deposits. Okay. So like how to get deposits. I've been taking a lot of calls with the team lately. So I'm always pretty conscious. Like I don't show any calls of like people that have like come in the group or anything like that. Just, they don't feel a type of way, but some of these calls, they're either not coming in for a while or they're not going to come in at all. And you guys got to understand, at least like for me, that the reason I started doing deposits on sales calls is that I just realized over time, if you don't get a deposit, they're probably not going to sign up. Okay. And so there's some calls like I won't get a deposit, but I push until it's just like, it's almost awkward, right? Like I'll push until basically they just say no and refuse. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over 3 calls that I did with, and you're going to see like how you should actually push for a deposit. And so the goal is like you push until they either give it to you or you push until they basically say no. Okay. What you don't want is like, I had a guy today. I don't think it's uploaded yet. We'll see if he does, but there's a guy today who's like, yeah, well, I just don't want to waste your time. And like all this, I was like, well, yeah, actually you're wasting more of my time if you don't put it down, because I have to follow up with you. And I actually got him to put it down. Okay. So we're going to go through a few calls. We're just going to do the closing. We're not going to do the full call, but I want you guys to see different scenarios and how you can still do it in a very tactful way where it's professional, but you're getting what you want, right? Because if they don't put anything down, think of it this way. If they're not willing to do a refundable deposit, they're probably not that serious. Yes, some people come back, but it's like extremely rare. Okay. It's extremely rare. So I play the odds. I don't play, like the 10%. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these calls. Yeah. So we're going to go 2 calls that he didn't close and then 1 he did. So you guys can see how it should look. Okay. So here is call number 1. If you guys have questions, feel free to chime in.
Okay. Like, again, I'm not telling you if to drain the savings. Even if you did, like you'd still have some left.
Okay, so I'm just finding the price drop so you guys can see it all the way through. Okay. Okay, so remember, he's Canadian, right? The goal on the calls, just being fully transparent with you guys, is like we have the same price in every program. Okay, but the way I kind of do sales and the way I think about it is, especially when you're running money with ads for the business owners on this call, there's still a cost for not making a sale. Okay. And so it's not so much important to me what they pay as it is, that's a lot for them. Okay. Now, some of you might disagree with this, right? But like, think of it this way. Every call you're trying to get the same amount, but I would be lying to you guys if I said every single person who's ever come through Elite CEOs is paid the same price. Like we want to, like 80% of the time they do, but we also get in situations where it's like, hey, if this is all they have and that's the best they can do, we are like in our heads, we're like, okay, mathematically, does it still make sense for the business to get this $8,000, whatever it is, and still help them? And like genuinely, the goal is like, I do actually want to help people, because if they don't get the one-to-one, they're not going to get very good results. Like every time we put people in group, it just doesn't go well, right? Because they don't do it. So anyways, just context, like he's in USD, that's like Canadian. Okay. That's a lot of money. Most people don't have it, especially the Canadians. So I want you guys to see like how we play this. Okay. Like how we do this. Okay.
You've been a trooper throughout this whole process, obviously, like rescheduled and yesterday, like I want to help you, right? For sure. Like I think Tanner would say the same thing. Like we want to help you. So you like break down for me, like, kind of what your situation is. Like, first of all, before I even go there, like you feel good about the program, you want to do it, you see the value in it. It's just, we got to solve this financial piece. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Like, I don't think it's even the total amount that kills me. It's just like, the total amount in what it hit is what kills me. That's kind of like, like that's
sure.
Yeah,
Canadian. I know Canadian.
That's throw out, right?
First a little more. So yeah, I mean, honestly, like break down for me, like what's an ideal situation for you? What's your cash on hand look like? And we'll try to like, customize a solution for you.
Okay. Cash on hand, not the best, because I just moved, just got my new job like a year ago, and I'm trying to find out how to, like, on hand isn't the best case scenario, but financial.
Okay, so remember, like close, he says it's a lot, totally get it. Okay. And then he's like isolating the objection. And then he's asking for cash on hand. Okay. Remember, cash on hand, guys, means what's available. So if someone's like, well, I got this in stocks and savings, it's like, yeah, that's not what I said. What I said was what's available. That's what cash on hand means. Like, what do you have that you can use right now? That's literally what cash on hand means. So if you don't want to say cash on hand, you could say, what do you have available right now? Because it doesn't help us to be like, well, I'm going to sell my house in a year. And it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to get deals like that. Okay.
Those per month are terrible. Like I usually have enough to like put away in savings every once in a while, but I try not to dip into savings. Like as much as like this is an investment, like it's an investment that pays itself back relatively quickly. Like I can see that. And I know that is just, it's hard to justify that in one hit. That's all.
No, and I get that. Again, like I said, we can break it up as needed. Doesn't like I'm not here to, drain the bank and leave you starting.
No, I can feel that from you, trust me.
Yeah. So again, like tell me like what's ideal for you, kind of where things stand, and then we'll look to create something that like I said, we're in the business of helping people, right? Especially you like and how you've been. Like I said, you've been a trooper through all this. So like if you want to do it, we will find a way to make it work. You just tell me like what's an ideal situation for you.
Okay. Because remember, he's kind of just, he hasn't given us a number yet. So we're like, cool, what's ideal? So we already know he doesn't have it. So we're just like, what's a good scenario? Because once they say what is a good scenario, like think of it this way. What I'm wanting is like, if I charge $1,000, I want someone to pay as much of the $1,000 as possible. Why? Well, one, that's the freaking price. That's fair, right? And then number two is, remember, the more they pay, the more committed they are, right? So if we're like, well, what's an ideal situation? He's like, well, $1. Like that ain't gonna work, bro. Right. But if he's like, well, like I have like fees. It's like, is that all you have? He's like, yeah. Well, then now what you're doing is you're still getting the maximum amount of money for the business. And he's also putting what's the maximum for him, which is going to be high level of commitment. Does that make sense? So there also just needs like, it's better when they say it versus you, like a used car salesman, because if you just start dropping the price, you're not going to maximize it for the business and you're not going to have a highest level of commitment. So that's why you always want to ask them to say it first, because when they're telling you the honest truth, right, you're able to better do it. Okay. So watch how this plays out. If you guys have questions, go ahead and ask.
I don't really want to look into that. Like I don't know how to look at the ideal situation. Like it's,
well, I mean, like what do you have access to, like in terms of like cash on hand or even access to credit? Like what does that look like right now currently? Right. And then we'll go from there.
Like I said, cash on hand is minimalistic at best right now with all the moving and resetting up and like getting everything organized. It's very, very minimalistic. It's not the stuff on hand. I'm not looking to drop at the moment just in case like something comes up. Like it's, I drop it and I have nothing and then something breaks out or breaks down or something comes up and I've got nothing. And I'm more screwed until I see a return. Like every month I have roughly there that I put around. Like that's kind of where my spare funds are.
All right, let me just take some notes. You said per month. Okay. And then like right now, I know you said the cash on hand isn't like, what about like in savings? Do you have any sort of like access to the credit?
So like for the business owners, like I was saying, is like, if your sales team is struggling or they're not performing, this is how you do it. So you're like, you're on the call. I can jump in at any time, but the one running the call this month, they're closing at like 40 to 50%. When I was gone for 6 months, they were closing at like poo. So like, that's the other thing too, is like, because as a business owner, as you get farther removed from your team, it's harder to make decisions because you're getting data from other people. And so if you want to actually figure out what's going on, if you dive back in, you'll see real quick, as long as you know what you're doing, obviously. But hopefully that makes sense. Like if you start training your sales team, this is the best way to do it. It takes the most time. It's a headache. It kind of sucks because like, you're still paying them and you're still on the call, but it's also like easier because I don't have to do much until the end. And then I have context, right? Like it's better to just sit through the call. Sometimes like I'll be typing and doing other stuff, but like I'm there and I'm present. And then I wait until I feel like I need to jump in. Like I don't want to have to jump in. I want to see if he can handle it all the way through. Some calls I'll say nothing the whole call. Some calls I'll say something right at the end, etc. Okay. So just like for the business owners here, just like as a FYI, for the sales reps, you guys can disregard it.
At all?
I've got money in savings, but I literally just started getting a good chunk of savings in this year. And it's not something I'm looking to part with right away. Like it's something that's there as I've never really done my own things. Like I always worked for companies where I had like RSVP or like all that kind of stuff set up. So it's like it all came out and like I put my own funds in, they put theirs in. And doing my own savings is kind of that like, if I lost my job tomorrow, I had nothing to back me up on, or if I ended up going through an injury and wasn't getting covered right away, or that's where that's sitting for me. I'm not, as much like I said, it's nothing against you guys at all. Like I see the investment you guys 100-fold. Like if my savings were more, I would pull out.
And again,
right.
I want to be clear. My goal is not to drain your savings, right? Like I'm not saying like every you have been saving, you have to like spend every penny of it. Like that's not the goal. Right? I want to know where things stand. So I like, if I don't know, then like there's not much I can do to help, right? So even if the numbers like, I want to know what it looks like, because then like worst case scenario, I say like, well, there's not much we can do. We need to like plan for the future, right? But like my goal is to help. Like I said, like I want to see if there's anything we can do, like at least try. And then if not, then like I said, we'll connect down the road when it makes more sense. But like I just need to know like what those numbers actually look like, right? And then I can advise you best, which is my job.
Yeah, like my savings over the last year, I put away.
Okay.
So like I said, I've got the money there. It's just not something I'm willing to touch right away.
Okay, got you. They say, all right. So it sounds like, I mean, essentially, this is something that like you can do. Right?
Okay, so he has the money, right? So he actually, now that we've actually figured out, this is also why you guys ask for cash on hand, because he actually can do it. It's just all the money he has. Okay, so again, this is why on price, this is why this is highlighted. Excuse me. We always ask for cash on hand, always, because if you don't ask, you don't know the actual situation. So why are you giving people discounts when you don't even know what they have? So he's got 25G. So it's like, all right, well, you actually can do it. So now it's a belief issue, right?
Obviously, you have the funds for it, right? Yeah. My question is, okay, like, again, I'm not telling you to drain the savings. And even if you did, like, you still have some left over. Oh, that 25K, that's Canadian, I'm assuming?
That's Canadian, yeah. Like I would have 3K left in my savings if I were to do it.
Right. Okay. So like, you tell me, right? The ball is like literally in your court. Like, what do you feel comfortable with? Because again, like my goal is to help you. Like, what do you feel comfortable? I don't want you to just have like 3K left in savings, but like, you tell me.
I don't know. Like I really don't want to take anything out of my savings, to be honest. Like, I'd rather not if I don't have to, just because I've been working my ass off this year to try to like get that in there. And it's hard to pull that out when I've never done it for myself. Like again, it's not I don't think I'm working investment. You guys aren't working investment. Like 100%. Like I said, if I had more in there, if I had twice as much in there as I do right now, I'd pull it out immediately. Like it wouldn't bother me at all. But the fact that it took me the year to kind of get my life together and get that on there, like I literally started getting my shit together, like my life fully back together after some shitty life experiences this year. So it's really hard to, with knowing what's happened in my past and like financial and shit like that I've gone through. And it's just like, it's hard to, now that I've got that little bit of nest egg, if something like that happens again, it's hard for me to really pull anything out of it without it being like, as much as this in my eyes is an emergency, it's not the same as like losing my job or potentially losing a home or a family member losing their home. Or,
I totally understand. Do you mind if I like, offer you some coaching and honest right now? Is that okay?
Because like now it's belief, right? So he has the cash, but that's like everything he has. So what Trey's going to try to do now is like, basically it's gone from price. Now it's down like a belief objection, right? Which usually is like, he's scared, right? This is kind of like what he's going. So Trey's going to attack this. You guys will see how it plays out. I mean, we stay on this call for like 30 minutes trying to close this guy.
Go hard, man. Like, that's what I'm here for. But yeah.
And again, like one thing I like want to be clear too, like you mentioned that like one of the things you struggle with, right? Like is overcoming objections, right? That's something that you generally on something you like struggle with, right? So like everything we do, we practice what we preach. My goal right now, to be completely honest with you, is to overcome this financial objection. And I really want to like walk through like something similar to what we teach, right? So based on what you told me, like obviously like you have the funds, you feel good about the program, you want to do it, right? You feel like it's a good fit. You're not just saying that to be polite because Tanner's here. Like you actually feel like, but like right now it's just, there's a little bit of anxiety around the savings because it took you so long to like build that up. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Around how long did it take to like, you said it was over a year?
This year, like I literally moved complete towns, like I moved cities, and I stayed with a buddy for a bit, trying to get the savings built up, just because my whole world kind of crumbled over a couple of years, and it was a struggle left, right, and center to even like make it paycheck to paycheck. And it was hard. Like, it was very, very hard to find. That's kind of where I got in that stump of not knowing where I was going, where my life was projecting. And then over the last year, I finally got myself centered enough to be able to get that. Just got my own place again. I was staying with him for like almost a year, and it's like now I've got this savings, and it's like I don't ever want to get to that point again. That's why I'm trying so hard not to touch it, unless it's like absolutely like last resort. And I know it's all like, not gonna say it's not dumb in my head. It's not dumb because I know that if I make the investment, I can almost 100% guarantee I make it back. And that's what's done in my head. Is like I see that, I know that.
And it's just hard to be honest, like, and the one thing I want to be clear, right, is like, yes, that is right. Like you will make the investment back if you invest. But to me, that's not even the bigger point, right? The bigger point to me is like, let's say you do nothing, right? So let's say you don't come in and you just continue to save. One, like saving is not going to get you to like the freedom, the flexibility, work from anywhere. You can't save yourself to that, right? But two, if something does happen, right? If an emergency happens, if two emergencies happen, then your savings is drained, right? And then you're in the same spot. That's right. And the only option you have is to try to spend another year bringing up the savings just in case something happens again. So to me, the value not so much in the fact that.
So you guys see how he's trying to attack his belief, right? And that's kind of like what I tell most people too. Is I'm like, look, dude, you can't save your way out of this. So even if you keep saving, it's like, it ain't going to change your life. Like you're going to be in the same position forever. Right. So what Trey's trying to get him to say is like, yeah, it's scary that you got to spend this money. But he's like, the only way out is to make more. Right. That's where he's going out with the belief objection. Cause he's scared is like, well, dude, what if I lose all this money and I go back to where I was? Like, that's a super scary thought for him. Right. Imagine for 2 years, like you're basically destitute and now you just barely have 25. So right, that's like scary, right? So it's a big thing to overcome, but that's what Trey's trying to do.
Like it is, don't get me wrong, but it's not as much in the fact is like this is going to like you're going to replace the investment. What I see as most valuable is like you are going to learn a skill set. You're going to create a system. You're going to have the ability to like never have to be in that situation again, right? Because now you're in control. You're following your passions. You control like the amount of money you make, right? And so now like the savings it's negligible, right? Because like you invested into yourself and your skill set. You know what I mean? And like that's what really protects you. It's not just like stacking up as much money as possible, because inevitably, like between now and years, something's gonna happen, right? The way you hedge yourself against that is by building a skill set, something that allows you, gives you a system to make money whenever you want to, right? That's the true value of it, right? It's not like you putting down they want to make that back, whatever the case may be, right? It's you learning the skill set and having the ability to kind of replicate that process as much as you want. Then you're never, even if you drain the savings at once, you're still not in the same position. You still know exactly how I'm going to recoup this investment. And I know how long it's going to take, and I know what work I need to put in to make that happen. And it's definitely happen in a shorter time frame than a year, right? So again, like that's where I see the value. I'm not saying you have to work less. I'm not saying you have to do it, right? But what I am saying is, and again, my goal is to guide you. I'm trying to overcome this objection, but like I do genuinely want to help you, right? And like I said, you've been a trooper, you've been amazing. Like you are the kind of person like I really, really do want to help, right? Because that's what I see as overcoming objection, is helping you make a decision that I think is the best decision for you. Based on everything you told me in terms of your goals, in terms of where things stand, like I think you know this is something you should do. Sometimes the hardest step is that first one. I want to make that step easier, right? By like not forcing you to drain the bank, right? But like we can't do nothing. To be honest, like we have to, yeah, we got to do something, right? But like it doesn't have to be a crazy amount, but like something has to be done. So again, you tell me, like what would you want to do? What is an ideal situation for you? Because again, like this is your decision, it's your life and your business. I know that was kind of a rant, but hopefully that wasn't too much.
It's like it's all taking that first step. That's what killed it, right? It's like if you stay in the same comfort zone, you're never going to go anywhere. You're just going to stay stagnant. You're not going to change, right? You with your anxiety and your problems, then you're not going to grow as a human. You're not going to grow as a person, and you're never going to achieve anything, right? But I 100% get it. Like I said, it sounds dumb in my head, but I know that if I just do it, I know that it will recoup itself. And again, like I can spend the next 5 years saving it. Sometimes you're wrong, 2 things, 3 things go wrong, and it goes back to nothing. I've got nothing to show for it, but if I'm at least building that up faster, then when I'm able to drain it, then it pays out the end of the time a skill set to do something with it, right? Like I get that 100%.
Exactly. Right. And honestly, like the best way to like quiet that voice in the back of your head, it's like the anxiousness, the nervousness, the fear, etc. Thinking about the past. The best way to change that is to take actions that change your future, right? Because instead you have to think, right? And this is sort of like a perspective shift, right? That has to happen. Right now you're thinking like kind of like that person in the past, right? Or the person in the present. What you have to do is start thinking like the person who's already achieved the goals that you want, right? The person who does work from home, the person who has the freedom, flexibility, who has the skill set, right? What decision would that person make? You have to start making decisions as if you're that person already if you want to get there, right? If you make decisions based on who you were in the past, who you are now, it's hard to like make that transition. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps.
That's literally like I said, like meditating, that's exactly the same stuff that gets talked about. Is like you have to envision yourself as the person you want to be and make decisions as the person you want to be, not the person you are now. Because the person you are now is not the person you want to be in the future, right? Like it makes complete sense. It's just like you said, the first step is the hardest one. It's hard to justify that amount. That's all.
No, but that's what I mean. Tell me what I can do to make it easier for you, and we'll probably do it.
What's your perfect scenario? So the practice.
Okay, so the reason we're doing this, so that's why you also say what's your perfect scenario, because like basically if you guys are listening, he's like, well, yeah, like I know you're right, but like I'm still not gonna do it. And it's like, okay, well, hey, then what do you want? Because like the call will be at a stalemate, right? So you go through belief. We did price, okay, flush that out. Went through belief. He's like, yeah, I know you guys are totally right, but I'm still not gonna do it. It's like, okay, so like, what do you want? Because like, and then if people got to give you something, because if they won't give you something, that's when you go for deposits. Because it's like, well, dude, look, like I know you're scared. I didn't want to think about it, but then we got to go for a deposit, right? Because again, guys, remember, sales calls, you're helping people. Like a lot of people get it confused. It's like all you're doing is helping people. It's not actually that complex. Like the reason everyone gets stressed out is because you're so stressed about making money, which I understand, like, because I've been in your shoes, that that's all you think about. But there was like a day and time, I don't remember, but my brain just flipped and I was like, well, like I can't control what they say anyway, so I don't even care. And then like, I don't know, calls just start going smoother. So I know it's hard, but if you can genuinely try to not care about the outcome and you just care about the person, you're going to usually get the outcome you want anyways, as long as you do the right sales strategies, right? Like you ask for deposits, you do the stuff you're supposed to do, you'll get the money you're supposed to get. So like when I coach my team, it's not coaching them to close every call, it's coaching them to close the calls that they're supposed to close. That's all. Okay, here we go.
Right. So in your head, you're probably like, man, that's too much. Here's what I was hoping it would be. Here's what I could do. That's what he's asking. Because if we know what that is, we don't have to say yes, but if we know it and we feel it's what you can actually do and you're doing your best to meet us halfway, it's like a widow who has 10 cents who spends a penny, a billionaire who spends $1 million, who actually spend more.
Yeah.
So that's what we're asking.
All right, which is true. And like you guys always see like the stuff I tell you guys, it's the same things I say on everything. Like, right. So for him, all he has, right? So it's like, well, okay, so what are you thinking? Because like I'm down to make a fair deal, but I got to know what the deal is. It's like, what do you want? Right.
He was like, what's the ideal outcome? If you want to join us, if you don't, then the ideal outcome is like, we let you get back to your day. But if you do, that's so that we can be like, okay, is that reasonable? Can we make it work with him? Because like, dude, I mean, it's my business. I can do whatever I want. It's not like,
That's fair.
Yeah. Did you have something though?
Honestly, like, I don't think the total amount is the problem. Like, I assumed it was going to be around 100%. I assumed that before I even went into the call. I knew that's kind of the price point that was going to get just from seeing what you guys already had to offer.
Yeah.
I would like to look into breaking it out into smaller payments over time. If that's something you guys ever do, I don't know if that's an option you guys do or.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what we're asking. So if you split it up, is that better for you?
I would prefer that. Yeah, like, that would make it a lot easier for me to be able to do that. Just because then I'm not, even if I'm not doing the savings in smaller doses, I can at least be putting something back at the same time. Or as I see it recoup in, it makes it easier to just be like, let's say one payment goes through, and I'm like, I already see something out of the whole thing, just pay the rest of it off. Like it is definitely an anxiety thing. Like it's a hard choice to make at the end of the day for me, like in the situation. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Are you ready to make it if we can break it up?
If we could do that and wait till Friday, I would love that. If we could meet up, if I can meet up with the like even just like 3 emails for like by Friday, just to make it 100% okay. Like not that I'm thinking we're not doing it, don't get that way. It's just like I get paid Friday, so it makes it easier to take a little bit more out if I need to, kind of thing.
Right. I mean, what I would say is like, if you want to do it
you feel comfortable to break it up, then what I would recommend you do is you can put down a small deposit, you get your stuff in order by next Friday, we get prepared for you, and then you start your payments. And then just so you know, like I was in your shoes, like I don't know if you know my story, but from 22 to 25, I was kind of doing the saving thing, and I get exactly where you're coming from, and I think you did the right thing in that context. But at 25, what happened is I looked at my bank account, and it was the same number that it was 3 years ago. And I'm like, well, this doesn't work. So the easiest way is like you're correct in like you're thinking your fear, but if you can triple what you make in a month by learning new skills, all of a sudden, all this you cared about isn't a big deal. But it's like, there's a book called Human Like Cheese. It's about 3 mice. You should read it. And they relate it to humans. I think what happens is they drop food in this maze. The mice are eating it. They love life, and the food stops coming. So after like a couple weeks, they start realizing like, yo, we're gonna die. And 2 of them might stay. And they're like, well, what if the food comes back? The other mouse is like, dude, like it's probably not gonna come back, and we can die. He's like, yeah, but if you leave, you can die too. He's like, yeah, but at least I have a shot to go find more food. So long story short, one of the mice leaves and finds food, the other 2 die. And then they go back to humans. They're like, this is not humans live their lives, where they are so afraid of going out and trying something new, but they have 100% chance of failing where they're at. And anyways, I only bring it up to say like I know how you're feeling. So what I would say is if you feel comfortable moving forward, like you want to, and you're just like, hey, I want to start next Friday when I get my next paycheck. Split down deposit. You figure out the payment plan that makes the most sense for you. We'll get that sorted out, and then start next Friday. That's what I would recommend. As long as you're ready to make that step. But I'm telling you, like when you're where you're at, like I've been there, so like it's the most terrifying feeling in the world, and it's also just like you just spent all this time building it, so you're just like I have to do that again. But the reality is like until you start making more money, that's probably it's gonna like continue to happen at some point. Because for me, like I would say cash, and my car would break. Yeah. Then I go, hey, for me, $100 was a lot. Yeah. For 5 days, I had a shitty apartment. I couldn't travel. I mean, I was working, so it's just like it's easier to make more than save, and so that's why you're here. Anyways, I'll try that. But yeah, if you're comfortable, yeah. But if you want to move forward, what I would say is like just put down a small deposit. Doesn't have to be a lot. Locks you in. We'll start prepping for you for next week. Get you ready. Send you the agreement. You look it over. Make sure it looks good. Get it signed, and then you start next Friday. If between now and then, you're just like change your mind. You're like it's too much for you. We can always get you out of it. Like
right, and then that's a delayed payment, right? So there's a delayed payment, right? So it's like go ahead and put down a deposit, right? Because we've gone through the circle. Like the call, he's gonna finish the call scared. Nothing we say is gonna make him not scared. Like that's not gonna happen. So. But he's like, yeah, like, I just want to be able to pay on Friday. It's like, all right, cool. Like, if you want to pay on Friday, then put down a deposit now, Because remember, words mean nothing, okay? Until you've swiped a credit card, nothing they say means jack diddly shiz. Doesn't mean anything. Them telling you they want to do it doesn't mean anything. Like, you're like, cool, prove it. Swipe the card. Oh, I can't. Nope, swipe the card. Like, until they swipe the card, you have not made the sale, and don't kid yourself into thinking you make the sale. Like if you guys want to maximize your business and make as much money as possible and help as many people as possible, like if you can't help them make a decision to swipe their card, you sure as hell can't convince other people to follow you or be a leader, right? Like if I couldn't sell people, how am I going to sell my team to like do the stuff I asked them to do, right? You got to lead from the front. So until he gives me the credit card, nothing he says is real. It's all fake. He can say whatever he wants. It's like, I need the card.
Like we're not trying to lock you into something, but that at least to me would be like we meet in the middle today and it's reversible. So
remember, it's like it's all about fair deals. So if he's like, I want to do it, but I can't pay till Friday, it's like, okay, so what's fair? Well, what would be fair is like we don't have to follow you around and follow up with you. So go ahead and put something down. I had a guy today, he's like, well, I don't want to waste your time. It's like, well, that literally would waste my time. Like you are wasting my time by making me follow up with you. That's literally the definition. So it's like, people want a fair deal. So just be fair. That's fair. To me, it's like, yeah, you can wait till Friday, but we need something today and it could be a small amount. We had a guy today who like put down $10. He put down $10 deposit. Why? Because he has to go talk to his parents because the only way he's going to get in is with his parents. So I was like, well, look, dude, put down $10, go talk to your parents. If it doesn't work, we'll send the $10 back. Do you think we care about your $10? Like, do you guys genuinely think I care about $10? Do you think I even care about 100? Do you even think I care about 1,000? No. But it's like, it's the level of commitment. Now, 10% of the deal is better because the more they put down, the higher level of commitment. But I'm telling you, like, if people don't put down deposits, they ain't that serious. Like they're not, because it's refundable. It's free. There's no risk. There's zero risk. Like I've done this so many years, guys. It's just every time I don't follow my own advice, even I'll do it. Sometimes I'm like, no, they'll come back. They don't come back. Very rare. Very rare.
Still not permanent, but micro commitments make it more real. And I think that'd be a good step for you. And then in between now and then, if you're like, you need more stuff, you need to talk to me, you need to look at more reviews, but the fear is going to be there no matter what. I wish I could take that away for people, but I mean, dude, even if you knew it was guaranteed, you'd still be scared. Like,
Yeah.
that's my advice. You live.
It might struck me. It means a lot. Like I watched what your answer reviews and stuff too, and like listen to what people had to say. And they all did the same thing basically. It helped take away, alleviate the fear. It's just, it is like you said. It's after working so hard to get ahead again, it's hard to justify it going back. But like I said, I know it's 100%. I will make it back. Like it's not. I don't think that I won't. I don't think that even if I don't make it back right away, these are just skills that I can use somewhere else. Right? It's an investment in myself, not even per se into you guys. It's just an investment into me. Right? So I do that.
And yeah, and dude, like I mean, people pay me $200,000 or they pay me $10,000 for an hour. I mean, once you build skills, like it makes you more valuable. So the more valuable you become, the more you can charge, more opportunities come your way. So it's just building. Like I could go be COO for any company probably in the country, just because I know how to run a company. Talk about And there's a lot of guys who don't. So if I really wanted to not run a company, I could go get paid 7 figures a year for a company or some of these other guys, like, and I have access to them too. It's like, not like, anyways, for what it's worth.
No, I appreciate it. Trust me, I do. I do want to. Is it possible that I can talk to tomorrow so I can go down to the bank and actually like move money into my account out of my one savings so I can actually move it and do the deposit tomorrow? Is that feasible?
Well, do you have anything you can use right now? Like, do you have so usually what we do is we just, if you want it to be a smaller number, that's fine. But
well, I don't right now because everything I've got is in savings. Like, I just had to go banana down and deal with all, so I pretty much tapped out what I had. But I'll go to the bank tomorrow and move money for deposit. Like that's okay with me.
So full transparency, like when you came on the call today, was that action plan kind of like here?
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is like, remember when they come on these sales calls, like people know like we're gonna ask for money, right? Yes. Okay. So he's like, well, I don't have any money. So I'm like, okay, well, what were you hoping was gonna happen on the call then? Because I don't usually believe that. It's like, so you don't have a card, you have no money around right now, like nothing. Sometimes they'll say that. If someone says like, I don't have a card, there's not much you can do except say they're a liar, but like, that's not going to help you close a deal. But he's like, well, I don't like, that's why I'm asking like, well, like if you liked what we said today, how are you going to pay? Okay. Remember, all you guys got to do is keep it logical. Like you don't have to overthink anything. So we'll see what he says. Watch.
Everything out, make sure it's even a fit, and then pay another day. Or like, what were you kind of hoping for?
I was planning to pay another day just because I knew I didn't have it on me as really. Actually, I had it, but then I literally today got home and I had to put animal down when I got home from work. So it was kind of it was one of those things like you said, it was settled very quickly and it was not something I was expecting to deal with. So
okay. So yeah, in the honor of transparency, so I think I made you reschedule yesterday. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then right now you're saying you don't have cash available, right?
Not on me at the moment. I go to the bank tomorrow and move some around, like some in to do it. But
fine. So let's do this. So I'm all about fair deals. Our goal obviously with refundable deposits. I mean, I'm sure you can guess this, but like we're just trying to make sure that usually helps us not have to chase people down, right? And so it's like, when something's risk-free, it's like if they can't do the risk-free thing, I'm not gonna do the risk thing, right? So with that being said, if you don't have cash right now, I mean, I can go in a circle for an hour, but you'll still not have cash, right? It's like, it is what it is. So what we'll do is if you can go do that by tomorrow, all we'll ask is that you get some deposit in by tomorrow. That way we can work out a payment plan. If you don't do it by tomorrow, I'll say it's your life, right? But all we'll do is then it's just like, hey, there's no payment plans, because then that's like, I try to always make stuff fair. So it's like, you want to pay in full, you're like, I need a payment plan. I'm like, I want money now. You're like, I want to do money later. So it's like, hey, you do tomorrow, and then that'll be our deadline. So I'm all about keeping it fair just so you see that. Yeah. And if you can do that, then that's fine. And I'll have to set it up for you tomorrow. Typically he doesn't like, did you do a deposit?
Yeah, I should be possible.
And then yeah, dude, then we'll rock and roll. And I'm in your corner here too, dude. So just so you know, it's like I understand, and like we understand the level of commitment. So
anyways, like who thinks he came back and paid? He didn't pay. But that's all you can do in that situation. Like the only thing I could have done next was like, I could have been like, bro, you don't like, I could have been like, do you not literally even have anything you could put down, like a credit card, like $100? I probably could have pushed like one more time, but it's like at that point, there's nothing else to do. So notice, like I still push all the way through. I go through the entire progression. He doesn't think I'm an a-hole, but we both know when we leave the call, he's probably not going to come back, and that's it. Right. Like, but you get like your answer. Like he's like, no, that's probably a no. Right. Now I could have pushed a little harder because I didn't ask him like, well, dude, like you can't even do $100. Like, are you being serious? I could have done that. So even sometimes I don't push all the way through, but that was like, I could have done one more and that would have been it. But that's how it should sound. So you guys should be able to do that on every call, and you leave on good terms. And I just told him the truth. Like, well, dude, like we just don't want to chase people around. I've done this a long time. Most people don't come back. I'm just being straight with you. So if you're serious, like, okay. And then he didn't come back. Like, yeah, he's too scared. Like there's nothing we were going to say that was going to get him to take action probably. Right. And the reason he doesn't want to put anything down is because he's not actually going to do it. Okay. So that's call number one. We'll go to call number two. All right. This call was very interesting. Check this out.
And I've been playing with, do I go up? Do I go down? Blasey, blasey, blah. I don't want to go down. I don't want to go under. I don't know.
Yeah. So says, should we price our offer higher than what we usually want? Yeah. So guys, this is how you test offer price. So that's why I try to tell you guys, it doesn't matter what your price is. I could say the price of the program is $50,000. It doesn't matter, because when they say I can't afford it, I'm like, cool, what's your cash on hand? And then whatever price they tell you, you're going to go, and then you can play around with whatever you want to do with that. Does that make sense? Like we have a typical price because it's just like, if we say above, it's like most people are not going to go above that. Like we're probably one of the highest, if not the highest price in the industry. I'm pretty sure we're the highest. So yeah, we say a high price, but that's what we're hoping to get. But yeah, it doesn't like, that's how I tested prices when I was in fitness. I sold everyone. I was like, it's too low. Did 2,000, sold everyone. It's too low. 25, too low. 3,000, too low. 32. And then I started going above 32 and it got really hard. And I was like, okay, that's kind of the sweet spot. So you kind of find like the sweet spot in the industry. And typically like business coaching, like I never have anyone say they thought it was less than $5,000. That's the lowest I've ever heard. Like I've never heard anyone say less than $5,000. So yeah, to answer your question, that's correct. Yeah. So it's like, don't be afraid to price higher because you guys can always drop it. That's why when people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid. It's like, you just aren't good at price objection because it's very easy to beat. Right. Okay. Next call.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to go down, but how much more can I go up where it's still appealing to people?
Right.
I thought 3 months per night. I've been thinking about doing that.
And again, like you can build it up. So as you get more confidence, et cetera, like you can go, right. And then when like, your Rolodex gets full, you have a certain amount of clients, you get momentum, then you can look at bumping it up to 4, right? So like, it doesn't have to be like, stop what you're doing right now and like go to, right? But like the goal would be like to kind of build it up so that you do create more margin, especially right now where your goals are, right? Hey, I just want to go fully online, 4, 5, 6K per month, et cetera. You don't need to like knock it out of the park with one sale, right? Like a few clients to get to that point, like that's not an issue, right? So
that works for me. I mean, like that, if I got a few clients on retainer and then I can go to my cons and sell the pre-made stuff, sell the apparel, really build the brand itself up. I mean, that's ideal.
right, exactly.
I don't know, I go from there. I think I'm onto something. Obviously, I have survived 3 years and growing. So I just want to make sure I got some expertise on how to do this right because I'm very new to this.
Sure. And no, again, I think like the way you're going about it, who you're looking to target, like you mentioned, it's very niche, it's very specific, right? But again, with the online, you're able to target, like even though it's a particular niche, you're able to target everybody in it, right? 'Cause you're not limited by your location. And again, right, you need to sell 500 of them, right? We just need to sell a few. You have your like retainer, you have that consistency, and now when you're going to these things, right, you're networking, you're engaging, you're et cetera. Now you're selling everything else that's associated with the brand, and you have this almost supporting, building capital, building like the brand as well, right? You can use it as a marketing vehicle. Ton of ways you can go about it. By the way, Tanner just jumped in, right? Just so you know, he's just here to make sure I'm taking care
Okay,
of it.
so also notice like for my sales team, for business owners, if I'm busy, I can jump in halfway through and I'm good. Cause like I'll hear a little bit. I'm just so good at it. I don't know. It sounds cocky, but so like, I just can hear a little bit and I'm like, okay, I get the context. Like, right. Even as this guy starts talking, like, I'm already like, okay, this is like a little odd. This is more of your like beginner. That's like, oh, I'm going to go on Shark Tank and I'm going to be famous. Like, this is kind of this guy, right? He's kind of just a little out there in terms of like what he believes and where he thinks he's at. It's like, he's got no revenue, no business, and he's like going through stuff. Okay. So you guys will kind of see.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one frame I work at, right? So that's, the Comic-Con people, the God players, the general people. The other side thing I've kind of gotten into is the celebrity training. That just kind of fell into my lap. And that's more basically premium branding and getting to work with, right now it's just celebrity shout outs with the con.
Right.
My guess is I could probably work with the event organizers that throw the conventions and either do a flat rate with them or I'm there for the weekend and I'll offer limited training, whatever celebrity needed. And I can call like a trainer for them. And just working with other companies, my other thing, company training essentially.
Right. And again, like the main thing for the online and the high ticket is to create something that you're in control of, right? So like the celebrity training, like the partnerships, et cetera, like you want to use those and build them and use them in the network, et cetera, but like it's not completely under your control, right? And so if we have something that's completely under control that obviously like takes care of like bills, expenses, lifestyle, et cetera, and all of this is an additional, that's great. Right? We also use this thing that you're in control of to help build a brand, to help expand your reach, to help position you as the expert. So now like opportunities like that come up more, right? We just need to make sure we have something that you're in complete control of, right? Otherwise, it's kind of like winging it, right? You're at the liberty of somebody else, which is not what we want.
I think where I've been at so far, I've got good hits here and stuff like that, but shit, like I want more consistency, you know what I mean?
Right. And that's exactly what we're looking to develop with that like online high ticket offer and system behind it.
Got it.
So that's basically how the customized coaching breaks down. Do you have any questions again on any of those 3 elements, right? Customized coaching, questions you have coming in that I haven't answered or kind of clarified up to this point?
Not so far, so good at covering your basis.
Like I said, that's pretty much all I've got, apart from the fun part, right? Logistics, investment, process moving forward. So if everything else is crystal clear, I'm ready to go there if you are.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the way the program breaks down, it's our Elite 1-to-1 program. So Elite 1-to-1, 4 months, total investment for the 4 months. Elite 1-to-1, 4 months.
Yeah, I guess I can back into some of the price range on that as well. So I'm kind of familiar with my breakdown on it.
Okay, nice.
Is that it?
Okay. Notice how like he doesn't freak out and start, just sit there. Okay. Like people will sell themselves sometimes. So he just sits there. He's like, yeah, this and this price. Cool. Sit there. You don't have to do anything. Like just let them wrestle with it.
The one thing, multiple things too. I think I saw something for can't remember all the other things he brought up a long time ago when we talked.
Sorry, you cut out. You said something about.
Yeah, was there other packages I could have sworn I saw then? Or maybe hang on.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead. I was going to say, like, we have a number of sort of like packages and options. This is what I think makes the most sense for you and your goals. And again, like you're doing something very niche, very specific. I think this is what aligns best. There's options for customization within this, but I think this is probably the best fit for you.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. That's pretty heavy for a new company. I don't know if I make this year from my own month. So that would have to like save up a lot. Now my in-person, I'm probably making about maybe a month from in-person training right now. And that's very new. That's like within the past month, I hit those numbers.
Right.
I'm trying to transition that to where the online it takes that. So I got to get that breakdown. That's one. What else you got for, I don't know, more price friendly option for nothing cover?
Sure. So, I mean, let me ask you this, right? Like,
okay. So also notice he's like, he's kind of already saying it's too expensive. So watch, like people will contradict themselves. That's why I think closing is easy, because they'll contradict themselves later without remembering if they're not telling the truth. Right. So notice he said he's already talking about he needs cheaper options. Later in the call, you're going to hear him. He'll say, oh, well, yeah, like the price is fine. The price isn't an issue. It's like, he's saying it right now. So just watch. That's why when like people are starting to be illogical, that's how I know they're lying and I know they're not going to close because they're not telling me the truth. So watch.
Like the finance case, in terms of the program itself and everything I brought up, do you feel good about it?
Okay. So he's isolating the objection. Okay. So price aside, is there anything else?
Program, like, do you like it? You want to do it? It's just solving the financial piece, or are there questions about like the program itself?
I mean, there's more to know. I mean, you gave me the presentation. You give me the breakdown on it for sure. If there was some kind of, I don't know, like some email to me or pamphlet, I'm sure there is, that kind of breaks it down more, that'd be great. Because right now, you know, remembering all that verbally, it's a lot to remember. And it really, it all describes what you're doing. I still don't know what that's going to do for me. If that makes sense. So to, you know, for that, I'm shooting someone for sure. I've been saving. I'm good coach. And next year, my saving time. I'm going to file this up my company needs, put to the side for, so 2025, I'm making my purchase to take my company to the next, you know, to the next level. So this is just kind of my breakdown of who's going to benefit the best.
Sure. Again, and I want to be clear, like the finances, et cetera, like we can work that out. Right. So like we can break it down in a way that makes sense for like your budget situation. I know like is probably a little much for you, right? Which is fair, I totally get, right? But what I want to be sure of is before like we dive into like finances and kind of finding something, creating a solution that fits your budget, like I want to make sure that like you actually like want to do this, you feel good about the program. There's nothing else kind of holding you back. Right? If there's something else holding you back.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've visited a few of these things before and I've talked to people. It's pretty much on point with everything I've heard from anyone else. You know, we have a shred. They have, you know, like a system where everything's all on there. Talk to your clients, blah, blah, blah. Seems like you got
Okay. It's literally like a fitness company, like has nothing to do with what we're saying. So just as a FYI, that's also why if you just know about the industry and what's going on, it's easy to kind of pick up on stuff because like it has nothing to do with business coaching at all. I think they probably let you come be like a trainer for them and they take a cut or something, but like it's definitely not like similar. I had a guy yesterday who was like, well, I talked to it's like an app, like it's like that has nothing to do with what we do, right? It's like it's an app for fulfillment. It has nothing to do with like building a fitness business.
I offer a little more customization with what people do specifically. So like me for the Comic-Con thing, you guys can help me with that. Everything sounds good. It wasn't anything different per se than I've heard before, but it sounds like stuff I need. You know, I need that mentorship. That's the biggest thing too, is make sure I have a mentor. I know I'm paying for the coaching. I just want to make sure I don't have a, hey, do this. I got someone I can bounce off of. That biggest thing is having mentorship.
Right. And that's where the one-on-one comes in. Right. So that's the first kind of point is the like actual one-on-one coaching. Right. Even something like I'm not, you know, super, I know who it is, but like in their program, like they're providing one-on-one coaching and one-on-one support in terms of like marketing, lead generation, like development.
There's more of like you work for us and then we'll like, we have the cogs in their machine, make the money, they give you a cut.
Right.
But how their company per se is like I could take that, you know, copy plans, life. But the big thing is I'm on the really close to with my company. You know what I mean? I want a local Shark Tank mission in Virginia with this thing. I'm like, you know, I want to hype on it and get investors on it. And I'm just like, I gotta master what people are expecting from me now. I got the hype, that's all there. But I gotta get a website going. I gotta get more organized, professionally organized. I'm a military vet. I was in the Navy just before this for 4 years. I wasn't doing this. So I came out with a good idea, hit it hard, it's blowing up. But now I need the professionalism behind it.
Right. And so again, my question is like, do you think with our program, like, do you think we provide that? Right? Do you think we provide that professional?
To be honest, I don't know. I hope so. I would probably want to speak. Are you one of the people that does the mentorships? Like who's the people that if I was to do this that becomes the mentor?
Yeah, so like we have like our coaches on staff. Like I just do this, I'm an advisor, so I help build out like the package program for you. But all of our coaches like have literally like owned, run, or operated online businesses, right? At least 6-figure level, so they have experience not just like with helping others, not just crafting offers, but literally like themselves, right? Implementing, executing, problem solving. Like we're not hiring Joe Blow off the street and telling.
Yeah. And if I was the trigger on this and wanted to do it, I would want to meet one of the coaches beforehand, so I know like potentially who I'm going to pay for instead of paying, and then I get to sign someone. Because who you vibe with, as long as some people don't get the Comic-Con thing. You know what I mean? They don't understand what I'm doing. So I gotta make sure I'm getting someone that will be a good mix with me, and I'm just not like auto assign someone who does this randomly. You know what I mean? I'm very picky with let in on this. So I want to make sure the mentor I got a good fit for me. I don't know how you guys, once the package is made, how do you assign the mentor after that?
Yeah, I mean, we sign the coach that's the best fit for you, given your business model, given some of the notes I have from our conversation, given our coach's experience, and you know, given you know, like just the situation in general, right? Like clients that they've helped. Okay, so we pair you with who is the best fit for you. But again, like, but
I'm just this much feedback.
Yeah. So again, like that's not an issue, right? Like we'll pair you with who makes the most sense, right? But like again, the program itself, based on what you've heard, right? Like I understand you want to talk to the coach, but the program itself, right? Like, are there things you feel like it's missing, or do you feel like it hits the mark?
No, so far it sounds like you kind of everything I need. You got the organizational structure. You'll have. I'm assuming what the the portal, everything I need. Just want to click on me, the advertisement, all that. I got that part down. I just want to make sure that part. That's probably going to come with any mentorship program I purchased. Is then built into the advertisement growing the company.
Yeah. Also, just like as a FYI, like when people are like, "Oh, it sounds like everything else I've heard," it's usually like, I'm like, "Yeah, like what?" And like, "Oh, you know, just kind of like he didn't really give any specifics," and then he brought shred, which has nothing to do with what we do. Just keep in mind, like, you just got to listen. If you listen, they're telling you the story. Like, he's full of it. Like, this doesn't make any sense. He's completely full of it, right? But we're just going to work through the progression. So watch. And just trying to go, is there anything besides the program? Because once he gets that commitment, then he can talk about price. But like right now, this guy's going in a circle, so has not moved, right? So is right here in the process. He hasn't moved. He's isolating. You don't move until that's done, because he's kind of like, yeah, it sounds good, but it kind of sounds like everything else and this and that. But like, got to get him to be like, no, the program's perfect. It's just the price. Okay. So that's why it hasn't moved yet.
I don't think so.
Oh, no. I'm talking like business growing ones, not just like personal training. Like if we're going to grow your business, that's kind of a basic offer. The big thing to me is that mentorship thing. Like if this person knows their they can tell me in person. That's the biggest thing for me. If you got offer that, that's the biggest thing I'm looking for.
Gotcha. Okay, so if we can like pair you with a coach and have a conversation with them, like make sure the vibe's good. That's like the only thing holding you back. Like if that's good, you're good to get rocking and rolling. Nothing else.
Yeah, because I expect someone who's hired to know their stuff. I expect that. But the biggest thing is that I assume they're going to have the stuff I don't know, new stuff I don't even ask for. They're going to know that knowledge. So I need to teach people from my company, and as long as you got to provide that, that sounds exactly like what I need. That's where I need to be.
Perfect. Well, no, that's I mean obviously something we can set up, right? That's not an issue. But again, like I still want to make sure that like if we can set that up, if you feel good about it, it's
Okay, you see, still trying to isolate. You guys notice, like, you don't move. Like, it's the same thing every time. Don't move until he says yes. If he doesn't say yes, there's no point in talking about price. Okay, there's calls like there's calls I won't even drop the price if like they're not ready to make a decision, or like I won't even do anything because I'm like, yeah, like I mean, it doesn't. There's no point in talking about price because you say the program isn't good. So like, why are we talking about the price? You're only talking about what the actual issue is. Okay.
like
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm here. Absolutely. 10 out of 10.
feel good about it. You want to move forward. It's just like solving the financial piece and then making sure you can meet the actual like coach.
Yep, that's exactly what's left.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right. So how about this? Right, what I want to do is work through like finances, see if we can create a solution that even makes sense. Right. And then if we can come to an accord on that, right, we basically put a plan together where like we get you like started, we get you like meet with the coach. And then as long as everything goes good there, we can push the green button and get you rocking. Does that sound okay?
Okay. So he says, yeah, it's just the price. And then Trey's like, cool. So if we figure out the price, you can move forward.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. That's a double tie down. So we do that because later in the call, he's going to say no and going to go back to what he tied him down on. Okay. Like the reason you do this is because the only way people can get out of it is by lying. That's it. And once someone lies, most people, one, they don't want to lie. And then two, once they do lie, you guys are like, okay, this isn't logical anymore. And you know, they're full. That's why we do this, because you don't leave anything up to chance. You have to know. Okay. Here we go.
Awesome. So kind of like break down for me like where things stand financially in terms of like cash on hand, what you have available to be able to invest in something like this, and then what's an ideal situation for you, and we'll go from there.
Like I said, I've recently come into the larger sums of money. It's like big for me. Maybe 5K a month on my personal training.
Sure.
That's great.
So yeah. So my biggest thing is 30 sessions a week in person. So that started to eat up a lot of my time. I started at 5 in the morning. I last one to 7 at night. I'm trying to now figure out to give time to my my stuff, grow that out, and save. I need to save up for this, obviously, because my cost of living is pretty low, so I'm not worried about like $1,000 where I live. So obviously I get pocket a lot of. I'm trying to try and invest it widely. Essentially, it would probably take me 6 months to save up the I would need for the package you're talking about.
Well, no, I mean, tell me a bit about like, because again, I'm looking to create a solution that works for you. It sounds like it's not doable right now, so don't worry about like what does your cash on hand look like today? Like what do you have access to that you could potentially invest?
Okay. I mean, honestly, now with no savings, this is me just hitting this income recently. So I mean, you get out of pocket per month as I'm paying. You know what I mean? I could probably do a month on the side for investing in myself outside this without it putting me in a situation where
Okay, so he can pay. So now, as a sales rep, is like, can we work with like for 4 months? Okay, so you guys see how this works on the calls? You can always price drop, meaning drop the price once you know what the cash on hand is, if it makes sense for your business. So like lately, my sales team, when I left for 6 months, they're closing at 20 and 25%. I'm like, that's freaking. I come back and I'm like, what are we doing on these calls? They're not closing any. And I'm like, guys, you have to close these calls because those pad ad spend, right? Because I'm spending millions of dollars on ads a year. You guys know this, right? So it's like, why are we not getting these calls? We're like, oh, well, I whatever. Doesn't matter what they said. But the point is like, if you look at the margins of my business, it's like, even if the deal comes in and it's not as much, that helps pay for the team. That helps pay for ads. Like teams get big and expensive. I have a big team. So it's like, I need the cash, right? And then if you think about it, what costs do we have for fulfillment? There's no extra cost. It's the cost of the coach, right? The coach gets paid the same either way, pretty much, right? So let's see what happens.
my livelihood is
Right.
at risk.
Okay, gotcha. So essentially we're working with like per month right now. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And if we could like structure it in a way where like pay per month was doable, like again, like that would fit your budget, it'd be good to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, if I can afford it, absolutely.
Right. Okay, a month. You said you could afford that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, you guys see how he's getting tie downs? So watch what happens.
Basically, like, again, we're in the business of helping people. I think Tanner would tell you the exact same thing, right? What my recommendation would be is we just structure it in a way right now, right, where it is the month, right? Over the 4 months, we get you started at 20, and then you use the money you're making in the program to then help out with that. Right? Would that be agreeable?
Something else you guys can do too is like, again, I'm not perfect, so sometimes I'll forget stuff, but like something that we've been doing recently as well is like fully transparent with you guys is like, if we let someone in for less down, we're like, and once you recoup your investment, you have to pay the rest, which everyone says, of course. Right. And then what happens is like, you don't count on that for your business, but they might pay it later. This is just for like stuff you're selling them where they make money. So you can even say like, hey, look, like typically the price is this much. I can let you in for this amount down, but with the caveat that once you make back that amount, you pay the rest. And most people agree to that. So you can even put those in contracts. It also helps tie down people more because people want a fair deal, right? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Another thing you could do is like, hey, I'll let you in for less down, but you got to give me 3 referrals. Something I'm just implementing with my team, I'll do a training on it, is after they close a sale, we're going to start asking for 3 referrals. And we're going to do is it's called a 2-sided referral. We're going to go, hey, look, if you can put me in a 3-way chat with 3 people, anyone who closes will give you, and whatever they sold them for, 10%. So say we'll give you $100 and we'll give them $100. So it's called a 2-sided referral where both people can benefit. Anyways, there's a lot of ways to do it, but basically all I'm saying is like people just want a fair deal, guys. Everyone's looking for a good deal. So if like they literally can't afford it and that's all they have, and you're like, okay, like you said, right? If we can let you in, does that work? And then if he keeps pushing back, it's like, well, this doesn't make sense, right? So I just want you guys to see how the calls become illogical. And then it's very easy to know what's going on. A lot of you guys leave calls very confused. I hate sales that way. That was like, it just drove me nuts because I never knew if I could close them or not. Okay, here we go.
Would that work?
That would work if I decided to do this. Absolutely. That would have to be how I do it.
Right. Now, one question I have is, if you decide,
Okay, so Kerry said he would have done it if we figured it out. So now watch what Trace is like. Oh, I'm confused. I thought you said earlier you would do it. Okay. The guy gets really mad, but watch.
do this, I thought you said it was just solving the financial piece. And
All right, so that's what I'm going to tell you now. I'm this is for me to scope this out. I'm not going to be pressured into go now. I need to see what you offer, talk it over with, and then make this a good fit. So there will be no good deal right now after this. You guys are able to work with me. That's great. $2K a month. Boom, I can afford that. That's good to go. And if there's a customizable program with that, easy day. I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so remember, like, hold on.
Again, I'm not here to like hold you hostage, twist your arm, or anything like that. Like that is, I'm gonna be clear, like that's not my goal. I'm not here to pressure you. Like your business, I want you to make the decision that you feel is best. Right. My confusion lies in like, but that's why I asked, like, hey, like, is there anything else holding you back? Right. You said it was just the finances and talking to the coach. Now you're saying there's something else like I'm missing.
No, just making sure that this is going to be the wisest investment for me. You know, that's no slouch for me. It's all that's a big stream of my income. So that's it. Just make sure it's a good fit. Boom, easy day. That's it, man.
Right. But I guess like, what's making you think it might not be the best fit? Like that's where my confusion is. Like, is there a question I can answer? Is there something that's not clear? Like, what's making
No, I mean, you're good. You're telling me what you offer. I'm shopping around just to make the best bet. So I'm not saying yes to the first thing. Or that you show me what you offered. I'm hearing that, I'm processing that, and then maybe in a week or so, I'm going to go through what my options are, and then come to circle back. Like you'll do those best ones fit.
Okay. So like you have other calls like lined up, in other people you're speaking with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And you said those calls are already set, or you're just like going.
I've done one already. I've done one with another company, and then I got 2 more set up.
Okay, so you guys see how he just backtracked on everything he said? Like it's not complex. Like he's full of it. Like he just backtracked on everything he said. So it's like at this point, it's like even if that's true, he's probably not going to close. Oh, I got 3 more calls and this and this and this. Like he just backtracked on everything he just said.
Research on like what companies provide this, and so you guys were amongst the top ones. So obviously I made that connection. Tanner reached back out to me, and I was like, yeah, because I tried to get a number, was able to get through. Unfortunately, I was able to get on this one. So that's it, man. It's kind of like window shop now. Who's the best fit for me? See what offer, and then now which one I'm going to pull the trigger on. That's when I circle back. I just always love to analyze the options.
Got you. Okay.
And something you guys can do too when they say that is you could be like, well, what is it that you're hoping is in their program that's not in ours? Because every time I've gotten this objection, they don't come back because basically they're just, oh yeah, like I just want to see what everything is first and this and that. And it's like, cool. So are you more than 50% likely to want to work with us? Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm going to ask you to put down a refundable deposit. So we're not wasting our time. Oh, that's not what I want to do. It's like, yeah, but that's what we do. That's our process. You need our help, right? That's something else you can do. But like, as soon as he says this, I know he's full of it. Like, and he's working through the progression, but like, that's what's nice is because when we leave this call, I'm not like, you should have closed that. It's like, yeah, you're not going to close that call. Who cares next? Like, that's the best way to leave sales calls is when you just know, like, there's nothing else you could have done.
Problem at all. You said like you're looking to make the decision. You said in like a week, next week.
Yeah. I'm going to do this week's basically my interview week, and then I'm going to take a week to process that, and then after that, whoever the one I decide on is going to be who I go through with.
Right. Do you have an idea, like, I guess when, I just don't want to be like hounding you, following up, et cetera. Like I want to have a plan in place. Do you have an idea, like when you'd be looking to make a decision with the option you're going with?
It's also, if you do leave a call, you want to have when are you going to follow up and stuff? Because if you leave it open-ended, that's never good. You always want to have your next day to follow up or whatever, because even at that point, if you don't get the deposit and you're like, oh, there's a 1% chance this is going to close, Tanner's doesn't know what he's talking about, then at the very least, you know when the follow-up day is, and more than likely they're going to text you before that, oh, I don't need a call, I'm not going to do it, or they're just going to ghost you. That's usually what they do.
2 weeks, finish this week out with my interviews. A week's kind of like break down everything. And then after that week will be like choosing, I'll have chosen the person. So what is that, first? 2 weeks from now, a little more?
2 weeks is like, if you're talking about the rest of this week, and then you're talking about like the October 20th. It's like 2 weeks. So the rest of this week and then the week after that is essentially like October 20th is that Friday.
So probably around, remember that is exactly about when I'll be doing it.
Okay, so looking to make a decision around the 20th.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like lock that into the system. That way I'm not like, hounding you. Also reminding myself to touch base around the 20th, right? So that's fair, no problem at all. Now what I do ask, right? What we normally do in these situations, right? Because like we customize the solution, because we're looking to
Now he's going for the deposit. Watch.
essentially like give you a discount and break things down, right? What we do in this situation is in order to lock you into that price point. So if you do decide to work with us, right, it's the month.
Okay, notice this. So I want you guys to just make sure you understand what's happening. So the price of the program is okay. We said we could do it at, so we're going percent for sure. I mean, that literally is 50%. You feel me? So when he says no, that's not a fair deal anymore. So you want us to give you off, but you won't put down a deposit. So the way you leave that call, and you'll see, he's like, cool, you can come back, but you got to pay the full price. No one comes back and pays full price, guys. Like, that is such horseshit. Like, I hate people are like, oh, I don't care about that. He even said earlier in the call, he only has a month. So again, all I want you guys to see and recognize on the call is, one, you can ask for deposits every call without being rude. Nothing done has been rude or pushy, right? It's not pushy. When I say push, I mean like get the decision. 2, he's been illogical multiple times. So he's full of it. And then 3, because we go all the way through the progression, every time you do that on every single call, no matter what they say, you're going to be a better closer because you don't assume and you just do the same thing every single call. Versus you're like, you cut corners. You're like, oh, I don't need to do it on this call. This time it worked. Like, that's not how you get good at sales. It's consistency. That's how you build great teams, is they're consistently consistent, all of them. That's why it's hard, because if you have 3 reps and 2 reps are consistent and 1 isn't, you have a team. They all have to be consistent all the time. That's why it's hard to build companies. That's also why it's easier when you sell or that's why people say have good products, good offers, because it's easier to sell. So your team doesn't have to be as good, right? But I'm telling you, that's why the info space people do well, because the info space is harder because there's more skills you have to learn. So when you go to other industries, if you ever do that, it's easy. Okay. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done. Then we'll go one more call.
Right. Again, no problem at all. But I'm going to ask you to meet us halfway. All right, so what we do in this situation is you put down a completely refundable deposit, right? We get that set up. We can lock you into that price point. If you decide to work with us, obviously you're locked into that price and the deposit gets credited to it. If you decide, hey, I don't want to work with you guys, I hate you, I hate Tanner, like whatever, we'll refund you the money.
Tanner, I don't hate you.
Does that sound fair? Could you meet us there?
No, I'm not gonna put any deposit down today. Absolutely not. No money will be exchanged today.
Okay. So, and then he just does that. And so we're just like, that's it. Like, he's not going to come back. It's fine. Okay. So this was a really sweet girl. She has not come in the program yet, but this was like I want to pray on it and stuff. And so this is going to be the last one we do today, but this will be good for you guys. So those 2 didn't close. That's how you get decisions. That's how it's done. And nothing about that is pushy. You guys get what I mean? Like, there's nothing rude about what you did. There's nothing crazy. It's like, this is what we do here. This is how it works. Okay. So both those guys, not going to come back. Okay. Not like, if they do come back, great. But guess what? You're just moving on. Like, you're not expecting it. Okay. This last one is a girl, right? So the girls, you got to nurture a little more.
Most, if I'm being honest, what I would feel most comfortable with is if, like, oh, let me run upstairs and grab it. I'm in the basement, so my kids are being quiet. And is there a contract? That's what I wanted to. You guys would take something on.
I mean, just like, do you have an idea like when the homes will sell? Is anything already in the contract, or pick it up? So kind of just break down for me your financial situation, kind of what you have back.
Okay, sorry, you're breaking out, so that's why the reaction is delayed. So it's for the 4 months total.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So price drop. And also notice, like, this is what fighting looks like. Like, it's 30 minutes, guys. There's calls I've been on for 2 hours. It's like, how bad do you want it? And when I say fighting, it's like, you just go until literally you get the decision. Like, you don't cut corners. You're not trying to like get off in a hurry. It's like, this is how you're going to build your business. Like, this is the most important thing you can possibly do, is take a sales call. Like, there's nothing else that should be more important than sales calls. Nothing. Like, because if you don't do this, the business will die. Okay.
Your reaction's delayed too. So.
You're good. I think there's a little lag.
Is that all paid up front, or is it broken into each month? There's an amount to get out.
Sure. I mean, like, we generally like to get it up front, right? Is that doable?
Honestly, no, I would have to. I have 7 homes right now, which is where the vast majority of my money is tied up in. But 2 of them are on the market. So, was I expecting it to be in the thousands? Yes, but I wasn't expecting it. Which obviously you guys are worth your money. But no, I don't have to.
Nope. no problem at all, right? We're in the business of helping people, right? Like we can customize, create a solution that works for you. But just so I'm clear, before kind of diving into finances, the program itself, right? Now that you know everything entails how it breaks down, like, do you feel good about the program? Do you want to do it? It's just, we obviously have to solve the financial piece. Is that accurate?
Yes, yes. And I assume that it would be that like coming into it. But yes, as far as wanting to do it, feeling like it's worth investing in, yes.
Right, perfect. And so if we can like basically like create a solution that obviously like makes sense for you financially, fits the budget, like
Double tied out.
holding you back from moving
Then yes,
forward.
I'm
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said,
You guys see, it's the same thing every time. And if you do a good job, no one's going to be like, no, if you figure out the price, I'm not going to do it. They're always going to say yes. So that's like, all right, what's your cash on hand? Same thing.
like if you don't have today, then obviously like we're gonna have to break it up. So kind of just break down for me your financial situation, kind of what you have access to, cash on hand. I know you said a lot, tied up in houses, but what do you have that you could invest into something like this? And then we'll kind of work together to find a solution that fits.
Go from there. So when I initially like signed up to the call or whatever, I know you said like, do you have dollars you can do for a document now? That would be what I have because I am in the middle of divorce. So as far as like access to anything until that's like, you know what I mean? That's all kind of in the air. The homes I do because my husband has nothing to do with that or ex-husband. And those are like on the market. So I'm waiting for them to sell. Like I have savings that I could dip into, but more than so like I understand, you know what I mean? Like if this is something I'm gonna have to get money from these homes and then take and invest in, I'll have to do that. But like I said, as far as having that sitting around right now, I don't, and I can't touch anything from that until it was.
No problem at all. I appreciate you being transparent and honest. Right? Just so I'm making sure we're on the same page, right? You feel good about the total investment. You see the value in it. Like if you had it, you have access to it, you do it. You don't right now. Like the investment is essentially like all you would be able to kind of invest currently. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No problem at all. Do you have an idea? Like I know how like the housing market can be, so I know there's no like set thing. But do you have an idea like when the homes will sell? Is anything already in the contract? Or?
Okay, so again, notice we're asking her. We're not just throwing numbers out. Okay. Because guys, like people genuinely, usually they want to be honest until they're not. So it's like when you ask them what their cash on hand, they're like, yeah, like they're not making it up. Usually they're like, yeah, this is what I have. So we need to know that so we can do the most advantageous situation for us and for them. Okay. Like you can't just run your business where you're just like, oh, if they say they can't afford it, we're just going to drop it to this. Like that is not a good way to run a like marketing business. You need to get as much money as possible for the safety of the business. Okay. Like if you guys want to stay in business in 6+ years, like I have, like elite CEOs goes up, has ups and downs like any other business in the world. But the reason I've never gone out of business is because we create margin, right? For those times. So when the things do get tougher, things get slower, it's Christmas or whatever, like we have margin to withstand it, right? You can't just run your business, razor thin margins every month. You're like, oh, I got $5,000. Like that's not a great way to live. Like you got to have margin, right? So you can create these like spaces for down times. Okay. So that's why we do this as well.
Right. So actually I just did an eviction for 2 people today. That's the fun part sometimes for doing these foreclosures. The homeowners are like, yeah, great, save my credit and all these things, but then they don't get out. So I just did an eviction on 2 of them today. And then I have a contractor working on one of the other ones that should be done within like the next 30 days. And then that's going on the market. The 2 that we just had evictions on, I already have a buyer for the one, but we have to wait till the person's out. So I would say by like December probably, just to be safe, because like you said, it's like, I don't, you know what I mean? I can't predict.
Totally understand. Right. So here's like what I think, right? I'm going to give you like what my advice is. Like I said earlier, like your situation is very different, right? Because of like the following you already have, you 100% for certain already have like purchasers, right? High ticket purchasers already within your ecosystem, right? So like the way I see it, because of your situation, it's not like this for everybody, but if we can get you in right now, you got to come in, you got to put the work in, right? You have to implement, you have to execute, you have to take action. Like that's up to you, right? But I feel like if we can get you in, right? Even if it's just at the one, and because of what you've already created, like you can probably hit the ground running pretty quickly. Right? On average, our clients are getting their first sale in like 2.5 weeks. And I don't really speak to anybody with 1 million followers on TikTok, right? And so because of that, like you're in a prime.
Well, I have a list of people already that want the course, but I told them like it's not going to be live at least till November 5th. So that's kind of why I told Tanner, I was like, I don't want to waste your guys' time. I know it's super important, but I'm like, if I can get this live and like get people on the pre-order list who are like, okay, I want to get my hands on this, and then take that and invest in this. Do you know what I mean? Then it's like I don't feel like I'm wasting your guys' time.
No, that's exactly like I didn't even know that. That's even better. Like that like clarifies exactly what I mean. You already have people who have shown interest. So like my suggestion is like go ahead and get you in like at the. And then you like again, you got to come in, you got to implement, you got to execute. But like then use the funds you're making through the course sales to then continue the program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So like if I sell like 10 of them or whatever.
Okay, also, I want you guys to think about this logically too, like from a business owner perspective. Let's say she comes in and she doesn't do what she's supposed to do and she doesn't get results, right? Like, here's how I view it. I'm like, there's 2 sides of it. So let's view it from our side. If she comes in and she defaults, it's like that's still better than getting no money, right? If she comes in on her side, if she comes in and she defaults, she's going to get more out of our program than any other program she's going to pay whatever small amount of money she pays. Right. So I've gone through this in my head 1,000,000 times in every scenario. Trust me, because I get like mentally, you're like, wait, is this the right thing to do? And this and that. I promise you, if you're actually good at what you do and you're actually trying to help people and like you genuinely know yourself, okay, because no one knows you better than yourself. I'm telling you, it's better to sell them than not sell them. I'm telling you, because the reason Elite CEOs came about is I went around hiring a bunch of coaches and it was really crap. And then people came to me and they're like, dude, I've hired a bunch of coaches, but like, it didn't work. Please help me. Please help me. And that's how I started. Like people were begging me to help them, not the other way around. Like I wasn't selling anything. They were like begging me. So I was like, well, you know what? If I, as psycho as I am, spent $50,000 on coaches and it didn't work and I almost quit, guys, like me. You guys have seen me now. Like, can you guys imagine? Like, can you imagine if like this company never was created? Like that almost happened. So imagine a person with less fortitude, dude, they can't afford $50,000 before they hit success. They got one shot. And I'm like, dude, they have a way better shot with me than going against some is from somebody else, right? Who just barely came in the marketplace versus like we've been in for 6 years and have a cajillion testimonials, right? Doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, but there's also just like, that's why like I'm so convicted because like I think sometimes you guys are like, oh well, like what if she loses the little money she has and this and that. I'm like, dude, like she's not going to get this caliber of program for that amount of money. There's no way, right? So even at that, it's like it's still better for her to come in. And the thing is, guys, is like if I genuinely feel like if someone comes into my program and can't make it happen, they never go somewhere else and make it happen. Like I've never seen it. Like I've never seen someone come to my program and fail and then they go somewhere else and they're just like, oh my gosh, like crushing it, because the stuff we teach in this program is the basics of marketing. Like you cannot not run ads. You cannot not do sales calls. So the only difference is like who's teaching them. And it's like, why would someone who has a smaller company be able to teach them more than I can, right? In a crowded space, like we're in the coaching space, which is super red ocean right now, right? Anyways, so I'm coaching just so you guys like can understand like the reason I sell every single person is because like I genuinely feel it's what's best for them. I really do. Right. And so if you don't feel that way, you might need to check yourself in the mirror and be like, do I really feel like I'm doing the best thing I can for people? Like, do I really feel like I'm giving them the best service? Anyways, we'll keep going.
So you guys take
I mean, just like as like we're making, it'll happen quick for you, right? Like as you're making sales, like you just pay it off as it's going. You can use those sales to like not only pay for the program, but also pay yourself, invest back into the business, that sort of thing. Right? So like if we can make that happen, right? If we can get you in, get the ball rolling, get you started, like you can get to move forward.
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, I say like let's make that happen because, like I said, like your situation is a lot different. I wish people like came to me and were like, hey, I already have a bunch of people who are interested. You know what I mean? All right.
Yeah.
Let me get this set up. The email I have on file.
Okay, so she's committed, and you guys notice the call goes 20 more minutes. That's also why as soon as they commit, you ask for the card. Because until you swipe the card doesn't mean anything. She just said yes, and the call goes 24 more minutes. You'll see why. Watch.
I'm going to butcher the name. So I'm going to try. Oh, is it German?
Yeah, German.
Okay. So yeah, I messed up. You told me you speak Spanish. I tried to make it Spanish and wrong.
No, it's fine. I'm white. I just learned Spanish from Lebanon.
You paid more. I lived in Florida. I took Spanish all my years in high school, and I can say, oh, deals. So you did better than me. Perfect. Let me get this all set up. Today is the 11th, right? I am ready for the long card number whenever you are.
Oh, let me run upstairs and grab it. I'm in the basement, so my kids are being quiet. And is there a contract? That's what I wanted to ask.
Okay, so as soon as they start asking more questions, they are not sold. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
As well, is there a contract associated with? Because I mean, I know, like you said, like we'll start this, but then like as you get sales, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to know, like, is there like a contract that I'm going to be signing? And if so, like, what is that looking like? So I kind of know, like, hey, every time that you get a sell, we'll take X amount out, or you know what I mean? Just because with my last business partner, I didn't do that, and I'm like, I don't want to be in a situation again where I'm like, why didn't I, you know what I mean? Ask more questions.
No, you're good. So like one thing I do, like, yes, there's an agreement. So like after we process the investment, I'm going to like set up your profile, get that over to you for you to look over, sign, etc. Right. But one thing I want to be clear on is your money does not go through us, right? So like all the money you're making, it comes directly to you, and then like you would essentially like pay us. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're making a sale, we're taking our cut off the top and giving you the rest. Like all of the money, everything you do with your sales goes to you. Does that make sense? So like we're not going to be able to hold on to your money.
No, I see what you're saying. I'm just wondering for like, you know, because you're living like making payments for a course, like the last course that I had done like 2 years ago for brand deals. It was like, okay, like every month we're gonna take X amount out so that I know like what to expect. Do you do the things like I know what to expect for hey, this month we're gonna take 4,000 out and the course isn't live yet. You know what I mean? I'm like, I need to.
I told them, so I mean, you tell me like what would like make the most sense, what would be doable? Because if we broke it up evenly, it would be what, like you put one, so that would be 15 divided by like the next 3 months. So like it would essentially be like 5 per month. Like does that work? Like what works best for you?
Yeah. So the course, I don't plan on having it live till at least November 5th. And I guess part of that would be like maybe it could get done sooner. I don't know, because I would have you guys that I could be like, hey, you know, input on that. But just my biggest thing is like, I'm trying to be realistic in the sense that I have 4 kids, homeschooling, and one of them is special needs. So I also have to have the time to sit down and do the course because it's something else to doing it, right? So that's my biggest thing. And for the contract, to be very honest, I would want to see what that was, or I would want to look over it or see like what would you agree to the last month? I feel like I would need.
Okay. You never sign contracts before you take payments. Waste of time. Okay. You're not sending contracts before. Yeah. Yeah, if they sign a contract, but guys, also it's just like, if someone like, it just depends. Like if someone signs a contract and want to like get out the very next day, like I'll probably just let them, right? It's like, there's context that matters, but yeah, like I never send contracts before people give me money ever. Very rare. Again, very rare. So like, maybe, I don't know, maybe someone on this call is like, but it's like 1% of the time. It's just not normal.
More than right this minute to think on it so that I would know like, okay, if I have it done November 5th, then I would pay X amount. If I have X amount of sales, like I'm a numbers person. I have to see the numbers, if that makes sense, in order to be like a comfortable saying like, yeah, I'm going to pay. It's, you know, like I don't know what's coming out when, if I don't know what I'm signing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Like I totally understand. So
okay. So Chris said, should we grab the CC number on the call instead of sending a link? Guys, if you send a link, you're just asking to lose money, because if we had sent her a link, we would have thought she was going to pay. She wasn't ready to pay. That's why you ask on the call, because as soon as we ask, she's like, oh, well, you know, she starts asking all these other questions, right? So she's scared, right? So it's like, yeah, like that's why you ask on the call.
Like, what's an ideal situation for you? Because like everything we do is customized to your situation. Like if you want to like get you access to some things and like put the second payment back.
If you send an invoice on the call, that's fine, but they need to pay it while you're on the call. You guys cannot send invoices and then let them pay after. I mean, if you do that, that would explain why you're having issues in the business, because you're not going to close as many sales, especially at scale. So like if your business is small, you're like, oh, it works for me right now. But imagine volume, 100 calls, 200 calls, 300 calls. You can't do it. Like it's too risky. You can't, because you have to know the money's going to come in. You can't run your business just praying and hoping. You got to get the money
after you go live. Right? That way it's not, you know what I mean? Like that way you have,
or if you're a sales rep, same thing.
Time to make sales to cover it. Complete customization. You tell me what makes most sense.
If I'm being honest, what I would feel most comfortable with is if like I have the course already done and then I'm bringing it to you guys and saying, okay, hopefully by that point, November 5th, I'll have a little bit more for a down payment, and then saying, okay, so for this month we'll do it. We'll start running ads, and then the next month we can do and then do the other thing. Because my biggest concern right now is time. Because like last night, my baby was up till 3 a.m. crying because all my kids have COVID. So I usually wake up at 5, but I wasn't able to, and that's my time to film, my time to work. And so I just don't know that that's giving me enough time to get everything done and then ready to go. And I want to make sure you guys get paid and not feel like I'm like, crap, I don't have this done, and now I owe you guys this much. You know what I mean?
Sure. So my perspective is like, that's kind of what we're here for, is to help you. Right. So like, we want to take some of the like burden off your shoulders, right? That way it's not just you. Like we want you to make the most out of the time to do the efforts that you can do this, right? So that's why I'm like, if we can get you in right now, even if it's like not the full on thing, right? If we can get you started right now, then 2 things. Like 1, we might be able to get you into a position where you can launch beforehand. Right? 2, you can start making some like pre-sales now, even as you're building out the course, and use that as like some capital, some income that you then can reinvest, right? And then 3, we're helping you streamline, right? Because like, what if you take all this time, you build it out, then you come to us November 1st and say, okay, like I'm ready to launch my course, and now we have to go back and make adjustments anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's better to be like, I can tell you how many people come to us and like, hey, I have this full like built out thing ready to launch, and we're like you're not. Right? We gotta make some tweaks, we gotta make adjustments in order for this to like really explode the way you want it.
Also keep in mind, like she's like, well, I want to have this stuff done before I start. You can buy people time. It's called buying them time. So you're like, cool, this happens in Christmas and Thanksgiving. This is coming up, right? Oh, you don't want to start till after Christmas? No worries. You just put it down now. We'll give you access to stuff. Your time doesn't start till January. You just take the objection away. Okay. So there's no objection that someone can really give me to not put money down. There's nothing. I've done every objection. There's no reason. If someone wants to work with you, they can put down refundable deposit. There's no risk. Someone who can't do a no risk thing does not want to work with you that much.
Right? And so that's what I mean. Like it's better to be proactive now if we can. Like if there's a way for us to do it now, it's better to be proactive. Right? That way, like if like November 5th at latest, you're good to launch. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And you have the systems behind you come launch time.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to launch and perfect the course and build out the offer and get familiar with the marketing and create the systems. Like it's a more streamlined process. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like
Like,
entirely up to you. Like, clear, like I'm not trying to like hold you hostage to put you on. Like it's your business, but that's
No, I respect that. I honestly, that makes a lot of sense. For me, before I do anything though, I really want to be able to see like what I'm committing to so that don't feel like I'm going into a blindsided, so that I know, okay, like this is I know to expect this. And I guess you could say the fine print, because with my business, this is the other thing I have to say, with my business partner, her and I have a couple of these homes together, because when we went on it, she had the private instructors and I didn't. And because a couple of these homes aren't sold, I do not want to have war on my hands when she sees that I'm doing my own course, because she has no clue that I'm doing my own course. She just kind of thinks I'm like the little TikToker, but I know I can do it. And so that's another, like, I guess you could say, big concern, which is why I feel so bad. But this is why I was like, I should wait before getting on call with these guys, because if these homes get sold within the next month or 2, then I'm worried that the money that we've put in together, like there's going to be a lot of issues once she realizes that I'm selling a course. So if you like can send me over, like, okay, this is what the contract would be, or this is what you're agreeing to, and give me at least 24 hours to pray about it, because I'm Christian and that's like, you know, what I do, then I would feel much better with it. Because I do agree in the sense that you're saying like, hey, you're going to create this thing and then you're probably gonna have to go back and fix it anyways, because we'll have a better way of doing it. And I absolutely like, I'm like the investment in this is so worth it. I can see the worth in it because it's like you said, if I have, even if I do it and I have, you know, I already have an email list of like 300 people who watch the workshop and at least 10 of them reach out to say, hey, like I want to take this course. So I know like,
Yeah, even if they say they want to pray about it, you can still do that. Like delayed payment. Yeah. Put it down. If you go pray about it and, you know, not to be sacrilegious, but you're just like, if God tells you not to do it, we'll send it back to you. Like there's no objection on earth that you can't get through with high ticket sales when you prep people before. It's like, it's so much easier than door-to-door sales.
I can do that. That's not my concern. My biggest concern is what I'm signing. And also with my business partner, if I like start, like you said, pre-selling this now, she's like, oh, you have a course? Like, you know?
Right. Well, again, like no problem at all. I totally understand like the red tape and things like that. We get money invested. It's not ideal, right? Like in terms of the agreement, like that's like you tell me, I want like your insight in terms of like what would make you most comfortable in terms of the agreement, right? Because that's what I want to like put together. That's what we do. Everything is customized to your situation. So what would make you most comfortable?
Well, would it be okay for me to have like 24 hours to think on that and to look at like my finances as far as like what, you know, like with these homes and all of that, so that I know like, because I don't know, I would love to say like, yeah, let's do a 4-month payment plan. Anything nervous. And I think that you guys have a lot more like you're not as nervous because like we make money all the time, like we create money, that's what we do. But for me, I've always done sales and I've always had to like, okay, what's my next sale in order to provide for my kids.
Sure.
And so I think I would feel more comfortable if I just had 24 hours to think on like, hey, this is what I would feel comfortable with. And obviously, yeah, that would be great if I was doing my warrant sales and nothing, you know what I mean? We could even put in there like, okay, like it's paid off quicker, like within a month or 2 months.
Sure.
But I need to think about it because it's yeah.
Again, like I said, I'm not here to hold you hostage or anything like that. Like one thing I do.
No, you're not, but it just makes me feel bad because I know your guys' time is valuable.
You're good.
And I feel like I came unprepared, but I am like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to, it's not that I'm not ready to invest, but like where I'm at, I need to be like, well, I guess you could say.
So, and notice all these calls, it's a price objection, and then it's belief. So all they're doing is they're like, yeah, I know, but like, I just, I'm scared. Like the worst thing that could happen. I'm thinking about that. Right. So there's no curveballs on these calls. It's just like reassuring her and making sure she's good. And then like, I felt should have gone for the deposit a little sooner because like, you don't want the calls to drag on too long, because if you let it drag on too long, people start to get like flustered and like aggravated, and then they won't do anything. So you push a few times, but like, that's the other thing. Like I felt like when you guys see me jump in, it's because I feel like my sales guys are taking too long. And I'm like, guys, like we got to get the money. So like, let's simplify this. Okay.
Because financially, I'm like, I don't have to laying around and I would feel most comfortable by just saying there's and you know what I mean? Not trusting that myself in the sense that like, okay, like my course is going to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you mind if I interject?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So because I'm like, we gotta wrap this up. Okay. So watch.
Like here's how I do it. More than likely, you've probably been thinking about doing this for a while. So it's not like this is a fast decision.
Okay. That's also true, right? Like people, when they get on these calls. So anyways, I'll just shut up. Just watch.
You probably thought about it. I mean, you've been thinking about it. You got on a call. Obviously the timing might not be perfect, but you've been thinking about it. In terms of like you doing this, based on what I've heard on the call, like it's going to be hard either way. So that person, you deciding, is it something you want to commit to? Not something you want to commit to. In terms of you thinking like about the contract and stuff, what we typically do is if you do want to think about it, we can put down a refundable deposit. We'll send you over all the paperwork and answer 8 million questions that you want. And then at the end of that, if you want it back, work with us to send it back to you. But what I would say is just like try to meet us halfway is like we often do tons of these calls. The thing we don't want to do is get off the call, send a bunch of paperwork, answer a bunch of questions. You still don't do it.
Okay. And notice how I just tell the truth. Like a lot of you guys are so scared to say the truth. Like, dude, I don't want to send you a bunch of paperwork and I don't want to follow up with you and I don't want to text you 6 times. Okay. Just say that. So it's like, this is how I do things.
We don't mind it. But if we can at least get something down on this call, a small amount that's fundable, then you can take as much time as you want. And I would probably also suggest the best move for you would be to come in the program and then you delay, right? Meaning, so like if you need a month or 2 months or whatever, you're getting in the program and you're starting to learn so you can get a head start. Because like we don't mind buying you time. Like if you need to delay a payment, whatever, that doesn't matter. But realistically, if you don't get the help, you're not going to build the skills. Without the skills, you can't make more money. And so like I come from a family of 7 kids, like I understand your situation. I don't have 4 kids, like I don't have 4 babies myself, obviously. But like, we want to put you in a very good situation. So I understand where you're coming from. What I would recommend, just to like interject so we can wrap up, is like if you can just have putting down a refundable deposit. Refundable means there's no contract time, nothing holding you to the fire. If I'm the work counter, if you can charge back on it, it's not like there's nothing we're trying to do shady, but then there you can take as much as you want. You can look at the contract, you can edit it, whatever. And what I would suggest is that if you come in, we just delay your payment until you're ready for it. Because even if you got in and you did the coursework without any coaching, that's gonna be a bigger benefit for you than just waiting for another month or 2 months. Like that's not gonna move the needle. And like we want to make it win-win. Like we're like to me, it's like we typically want to pay in full. You don't have cash. It's like how can we get you to move forward? That's kind of like where I would try to meet in the middle. There's obviously no like we're not gonna force you, but that's like what I would want to see from you if you want to work together, and then we can figure out the logistics. Like we're on your side. Like I had $2,000 for my name, 6 years ago. Now I'm worth multiple 8 figures. I didn't have 4 kids, obviously, so I can't relate to that part, but like I know what it's like to build 4. And you probably have more money than I do, to be honest, or did. So that's what I would say. I mean, would you be opposed to that? Because
no, that makes me honestly feel more comfortable because I like knowing it's not knowing that it's like refundable, like I'm not gonna do this, but I know that I have to address these things like with my ex-business partner, like I'm gonna be doing a course, because if I don't, it's like, but yeah, that makes me feel a lot better. Just, and thank you for being relatable, because yeah, this is not a position I have a family page. This is, I feel like the last 3 years have been a nightmare, honestly, but that would make me feel more comfortable, because then it gives me time to create that, look over the paperwork, and also figure out what's on with these homes, because I don't like feeling like I owe people money. Like I don't like jumping into it and being like, oh gosh, I can't afford this, and I owe people money. And
Yeah, so that's why I was saying, like, I mean, I was loving your guys' talk. I just was hoping you guys were gonna go to sleep, and I thought, like, if you put down a small deposit, you just put down a small deposit right now, a number that feels comfortable to you, we'll send you all the
I
paperwork.
throw in humor. I'm relating to her. I'm letting her know I care about her. And, you know, I'm just like, let's wrap this up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying, we don't need to go in circles for 30 minutes. It's like, this is the decision. What are we doing?
You can pray about it, whatever you want. You come back after that, and you're like, hey, this isn't for me. We send it right back to you. But then that way, it's like, we know that you're serious, and then we're not wasting a bunch of time. Then if you come back and you change your mind, that's not wasting time to me. At least you considered us enough to give us a deposit. We just don't, like, I'll just be honest, like, the thing I don't like is when we do offer that to people and they won't even take that. It's like, I mean, like, what else? I feel defeated, because I'm like, what else can we do? So if you can just meet us halfway on that, take your time. And if you want it back, there's no harm, no foul. I mean, you have the best excuses of anyone we've heard. You got 4 kids. It's not like we're gonna, oh man, you're gonna find time with the 4 kids running naked around the house. Like, I mean, I grew up in that, so I know what it's like. But yeah, if you're cool with that, let's just put down a small number that you typically 10%. 10% is too much. Just you want to do 5. We'll put that down, wrap a call it, we'll send you all the stuff, and then you stay in contact, change your mind, no harm, no foul. But at the very least, if you do decide to move forward, I would recommend coming to the program. And then you can pay us, you can delay the payment, because unless we're servicing you one-to-one, I don't really care if you have course access, as long as we have an agreement in place, and the agreement will be between you and us. So like, we're not gonna, you can look it over and like, we'll change it, whatever. Anyways, does that work for you? Does that sound?
that works, and that feels a lot better. Let me run upstairs. I'm gonna turn the
Okay, closed. All right. So, yeah. So that's 3 examples today. People ask, what do you do if you delay payment? You usually give them course access, no one-to-one. So what that means is, like, let's say she puts down and she's like, I can't start till December. She gets in the course, she gets all the group calls and stuff. After she signs an agreement, she has to sign an agreement to get access. And then we'll start one-to-one once she's ready. But then what that does is it makes it so people actually come in, right? And you're actually getting the money. Okay. That's how we do it. And then, like, also, if the coach is doing the fulfillment, it's even easier. But if they're not, you're not doing one-to-one. That's why buying them time. Because you're like, well, dude, there's no harm, no foul. You're definitely going to come in, right? In 2 months. Cool. So let's just go ahead and put your payment down. We'll get you access. You can go through that as much as you like. If you don't go through it, no harm, no foul. But if you do, you're going to have a 2-month head start. So when you do start the one-to-one, dude, you're going to crush it. And you're going to have even more context. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You guys, all you fitness people, you're going to get that 100 times over the next 2 months, Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? Well, I want to start after Christmas. I want to have the eggnog. You're just like, yeah, dude, go ahead. Like, drink the eggnog till you freaking, go drunk. And then, like, it doesn't matter. It's just, so like, you just move it to the side. You're just pushing these to the side. Like, remember, like Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. It's just like, you're just moving them. They're nothing. Okay. And the thing that missed, that was like why the call took longer, is like, she was like stressing out about the thing down, just trying to get the thing down without the deposit, but it doesn't really matter. It's just like, dude, like, just get the freaking money. And if she wants to think about it, because like that, like, he did it right. Like the deposit is your last resort, but she just like wasn't comfortable. So I'm like, dude, like, let's wrap this. Like, she's not going to do it. Let's get the deposit. Let her think on it. And guys, like, very few people back out. And she actually put down I don't know if you guys heard me. I was like, you could do 50. She put down dude, she's going to do it. She's definitely going to do it. Right. So anyways, do you guys have questions? Those were 3 different deposits, but like, if your sales team or you do that and you get those responses, you're perfect. I'm not looking for a yes. I just needed yes or a no. So the people who refuse, they're telling you no. Like, they're not going to come back. Okay. Like, ever. Like, they very rarely come back. Very, very, very rarely. Like, it's so rare. It's so rare that you shouldn't base your company off of it. That's why all my sales team, I push them on all the calls to always get deposits. Because whenever they tell me like, oh, well, this and that, I'm like, dude, you're scared. You're just being a baby. Yeah. Like, it's a little uncomfortable sometimes, but that's what it takes to win. Do you want to win, or do you want to be like everybody else? That's what everyone else does.
Hi, this is not related to deposit, but I had somebody, I can see a red flag when it talks about spouse, right? She was like, she got 10 pounds to lose, but it's been bugging her for a while. I asked her about her husband's kind of input or support, and she goes, oh, he just rolls his eyes and like act like it was nothing. Then I can also tell, I said, so okay, if your husband doesn't care about that much, doesn't matter to him, he rolls his eyes, would he be supportive of you working with me? And she goes, well, he's supportive, maybe, depends on like, I can already see her backtracking. And so I've asked her several times, like, okay, if he's saying no and you really like me, what would you do? She goes, well, I still got to respect his opinion, things like that. Of course, that became her objection and shield, right? So how much do you dig on discovery? Like, do you solve this issue and completely crush this?
It depends on your business. Yeah, it's your call. I mean, half the objections I come up with is like because it's happened over time. So like, it depends on your calendar space. If your calendars are super full, you can like just put right on your application, like, if you can't make this decision out with your spouse, don't even come. Like, you can be super aggressive. If your calendars are lighter, you might do it at the beginning of the call. Hey, at the end of the call, I'm going to look for you, make a decision. Are you comfortable with that? If your calendar is even lighter, you might not bring it up at all and you just deal with it on the call. It just depends on the business where it's at. The harder you turn the valve off, the less people will come through. But remember, that usually can raise costs or like, it doesn't make sense. So it just depends is the answer. But if you're getting that a lot, then I would start with easiest to hardest. So I'd start at the beginning of the call. Hey, at the end of the call, you can give me yes or no, right? Yes. Right. And then even if she does do the husband thing, you should always pretty much be able to get a deposit. Like, yeah, no worries. So like, what would do in this situation? Because I talk to women all the time, same thing. You put down a refundable deposit, go talk to your husband. If he says he doesn't want you to be happier and healthier and all those things, just let me know and I'll refund you. And if she still says no, then you're like, well, do you mind me asking like why you can't put down a risk-free deposit? It's completely risk-free. What's the risk with a deposit? There's zero risk, guys. Every bank in America, like, you know how hard I have to fight for chargebacks? You know how much to send people to prove that they gave me authorization to run their card? It's like absurd the amount of stuff I have to do, right? So if there's no signed agreement, you will lose a chargeback 100% of the time. It is for sure. There's no way you're not going to lose. So it's like, to me, that's what I would bring up. If she still does that, then I might be like, well, look, like, end of the day, like what I'm not trying to twist your arm, but I've done this a million times and like, I just want to make a fair deal. And to me, it seems fair to put down a refundable amount because that's how I run my business. So I don't have to follow up with you, right? Or I don't have to wonder if you're actually going to come in, right? I'm like, right now, I'm just taking you at face value. I don't actually know because you haven't done anything to show me that you're actually serious. So there's no pressure, but if you can't at least put down a refundable deposit, then if you come back, you're going to have to pay the full amount. We both know you can't pay the full amount. So the option really is like, put down a refundable deposit, talk to your husband, or we can just part ways, but I'd hate to see you lose out, and then you wrap up. That's it. Like and it's like, that's it. And if she doesn't sign up, and then like, you guys can try it your way if you don't believe me, but I'm just telling you, like, I've done this a million times. Like that's how it's going to go. Like if it didn't go this way, don't you guys think I'd teach you something else? It's just facts, just how it goes. So even like when I've been on the sales calls with my team this month, why do you think I'm there? I'll make sure they get a yes or a no. I don't care if they close it, but guess what their closing rate is now? 40-50%. Why? Because they're doing what I'm telling them. It's crazy how it works. Like, you guys will close double the deals if you just do it like this. I'm telling you, whatever you're closing at, you'll close double. Okay. So that's what I do. So to give you a constructive answer, pre-frame at the beginning of the call. If that still doesn't work, you can go the application, but also keep in mind, like, it depends how many calls you have. If you only have 3 calls a day, I wouldn't mess with anything. If you're like 10 calls a day and you're running around haggard, right? You can't even brush your hair, turn it up a little bit. It's a balance, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, sir. How are you?
So glad you're here. Ask me what you're going to ask me.
Yeah, just, I get majority objections are only 2 objections.
Okay.
One objection is their own self-belief because they are, want to, kind of whether they deserve EB-1A green card, whether they are competent enough to apply. Actually, that's the key objection that I get actually. So self-belief is the biggest one. It's like somebody coming to you and you tell them, okay, you can make $1 million. So $1 million from 0 to $1 million is like a business coaching of EB-1A or business coaching. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you convince somebody that, okay, fine, you will get out? But I know the method. I'm convinced that if they follow the process, they have a higher probability of chances. Obviously, I can't guarantee it, but because I can't give guarantee because it's an immigration matter. But how do you convince that your whole transformation will take place that will help you to achieve, let's say in your case, $0 to $1 million? If somebody,
it's before the call, you send them videos to watch, right?
Yes.
So like the homework and the stuff like that. Testimonials, that's number 1, right? So trainings and testimonials. Then you get on the call, and then if they don't believe it, the only thing you can do after that is like, you know, a lot of times like with business people, I'm like, well, I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, it doesn't work. Okay, well, you're going to be in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times you just make them see like it's just money. You can always make more money. The other thing you could do is you could give a guarantee in your program. So I know like you're super like you like the legal stuff. Like I know you like want to be super careful with that, but you can tell them like, if you don't get this result by X amount of time, I'll refund you in full. You could say that. It just depends how confident you are, right? If you feel 100% confident, you could do that. If you don't, you can make a conditional guarantee. You're like, if you do all these things, then I'll refund you. And the conditions are based on the stuff they do. That's why people usually do conditional, because conditional means like in our program, if someone does like 15 sales calls and they don't make a single sale, like it doesn't happen. Like if I can get someone in this program to take 15 sales calls, they're going to make their investment back. Like,
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So what you would do is you would make, hey, if in our agreement, it's in writing. If you do the conditions that I ask, we'll refund you in full if you don't get it. But the thing is, you pick conditions that you know people will have to do to be successful. So you're never going to give a refund because if they hit the conditions, they'll get the goal. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Thanks, Tanner. Wonderful.
I got you, brother. No worries. Anyone else? Okay. So those are deposit examples. Like get a decision on every call. Yes or no. Yes or no. If they won't put a deposit down, that's a no. It's fine. You just need yes or no's on every call. There's no reason, guys. Like, especially as you go through the framework, right? Oh, is it just price? Yeah. Okay. We figured it out. Great. Can you do deposit? No. Why? Well, this and this. Well, you said it was just price. Like it's like this framework just comes from like thousands and thousands of sales calls. Like I can do them in my sleep. I'm doing 2 sales calls tomorrow for a random business that I don't even know anything about their business. I'll close it because it's the same thing. I'm going to have 3 pillars. I'm going to get the same objections. I'm going to go through the same. I'm going to get the same result. Like it's the same thing. So if you guys just learn that, where you're just trying to help people make decisions, and then you're also trying to leave the call knowing that you didn't mess it up. Those 3 calls, only one of those calls was going to close. That's it. Like, it's fine. Like there were 3 calls, 1 call was going to close. The rest were not going to close. The ones you're going to kick yourself in the face is where you don't follow it. And then you're wondering, you're like, man, would they have closed if I had followed the process? It was pretty obvious, right? Like who was going to close and who wasn't. So, but you won't know that unless you go through the process. So, all right, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, sorry. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye.